Hello everybody, welcome back to Garden Obsessed. My name is Carla and today I wanted to talk a little bit more about garden planning. So you guys were with me when I started this garden plan. I've made a few tweaks to it here and there. I've added more details, I've changed some things, I've erased things and moved things around. And this will continue to evolve until the garden is actually planted. This is up for, debate and discussion. So I also did a plan for the community garden, and it's to the same scale. So this one I'm planning to do in 4 long rows this year. So there will be 3 pathways. And I just wanted to talk about the size so you understand how much space that I'm working with. So my home garden in the raised beds is 26 by 22 feet. So that is about 570 square feet total. And of that space, once you take away the walkways and things, there's about 350 square feet of growing space. This garden, they aim for 16 by 32 feet every year. I think this year it ended up being 15 by 33. So give or take in those general dimensions, which is about the same size as the home garden. It's 512 square feet. And with this layout, when I take out the pathways, it's just under 350 square feet-ish. So altogether, we're talking over 1,000 square feet, and about 700 square feet of that is actual growing space. So I just wanted, to talk a little bit about the size, because I'm going to pull out a lot of seeds here and it's going to look like a lot. And if you're just getting started, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. The very first year I gardened, my dad built me a 3x3 raised bed and a 7x4 raised bed. Later that summer, we added another 7x4 raised bed. So it's grown a lot over the years. And I think I figured out last year, I do have a full-time job, and currently that involves a 2-hour commute every day. I hope that that changes. I don't know that that's going to for sure. So I think this year I've discovered this is about the maximum amount of space that I can manage by myself in our current life situation. So I would like it to be bigger, but I can't do it under current circumstances. So don't get overwhelmed. This is a big garden. When you put them together, that's a lot of space. But after you get this part done, the next thing that I like to do, and generally it's around this time of year because soon we're going to be starting seeds. So I need to have some idea of what I'm going to grow before I can actually start those seeds, right? So we're going to start kind of nailing things down. So then I pull out, I have 2 of these, excuse me, I'm a little bit under the weather, but I have 2 of these seed cases, and I just have things divided what made sense to me. I have tomatoes and peppers, and then I have some brassicas, lettuce, greens, and herbs. I also have my alliums in this case. In the other case, I have things like melons, cucumbers, gourds, pumpkins, squash, both winter and summer, corn, peas, root vegetables, things like that. But once I have an idea of the space that I'm working with and what can and can't be used, some of these beds are kind of taken out of production with perennials or where I've already planted my garlic, then I just go through every case. I just, if I'm watching TV at night, if you have not this many seeds, this won't take you nearly as long, but so this is all of my cherry tomatoes, for example. And I'll pull this case out and I will look through everything that's in here and I'll be like, oh, that looks interesting. I think I would like to grow that. I grew this last year. It wasn't my favorite. Someone gave me this and I'd really like to try it. I just go through and pick out everything that looks interesting to me. Once I do that for everything, Then I come back to my map and I look at my stack of cherry tomatoes and I'm like, okay, I think I probably only realistically have enough space for 3 or 4 cherry tomato plants. If my pile is bigger than that, obviously I have to whittle that down. If it's about the right number, I'm good to go. So I do that for everything. And I do leave a few, like if I'm not sure, I just leave them in the pile because I'm going to be going through these several times and whittling down that list every time that I do it. So once I have everything picked out, then it's time to categorize things based on when I'm going to start the seeds. So the system I like to use is, I started this a couple years ago. I have all of these Ziploc bags. And I've just used a Sharpie across them, and I have different categories that I'm going to sort the seeds that I pulled out into. So this one is start indoors 10 to 12 weeks. So that means to me 10 to 12 weeks before my last frost date. So this is going to be sometime in February for me. There's a couple of things in here that I might start a little early, like onions. So in this bag, not everything has to be planted on the same date. So the first thing that I will plant will be my onions. So my onions are in this bag, but what else do I have in this bag? So I have celery. Celery sometimes needs like a head start. I won't start it as early as the onions. And I also have my hot peppers. So those are not going to be started. Those I'm going to start probably around the 10-week mark, not the 12-week mark, like the onions. So you don't have to, this doesn't have to be, complicated. It's just to give you a general idea of when things are going to need to be started so that you're dealing with smaller amounts. Like this amount of seeds is a lot easier to deal with than this amount of seeds, or even once I have, everything all together, this is kind of overwhelming. And this helps break it down into a manageable size to know when to start, and also to help me further narrow down. Like I have quite a stack of hot pepper seeds in here. I won't be able to start all of those. So when it's time to start those peppers, I'll go through here. I'll look at my map. I'll see how this has developed, how much space that I have, and I'll make those decisions at that time. But for now, this is just a little placeholder so that everything is all together. So I'll tell you the categories that I like to use. I like to use the 10 to 12 weeks, the 8 to 10 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, which is starting to be a larger size baggie, and the 4 to 6 weeks is probably the largest. Anything less than 4 weeks is going to be things that I'm going to direct seed probably. And so I don't have, like a 2 to 4 week or a 0 to 4 week. Like I don't see a point for that. But some additional categories that I have are direct sow. So as soon as the ground is workable, these are things that I can direct sow in the garden. Like before the last frost date, these things can be planted out. And again, these are going to be things like that have varying degrees of cold tolerance, but when it comes close to that time, I only have this amount of seeds to worry about, and I'll go through and make those decisions at that time. I also have a direct sow after frost. So this is going to be, usually it's just corn for me if I'm planting corn, but I also have peanuts in here this year because I want to try peanuts. And then this is usually a start for fall bag and category. But because beans and peas take up so much room, I just have those shoved in here just to keep them collected and together. And obviously these are going to need to be whittled down as well, but I kind of have a bean thing right now, and I'm having a hard time narrowing those things down. So that is the next step that I like to do in planning the garden. I hope that makes sense. I hope it's not overwhelming. And as things progress, I'll take you along with me as well. And pretty soon we'll be starting seeds. So I hope you found this useful and informative, and I hope you join me for seed starting time. I thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.